Welcome to this tutorial where I'm going to show you one way how two sibling components can communicate with each other. There are different ways. One of them is you can use the ref modifier and then pass a reference to a component to its sibling component that then can use the reference to call methods on that component. Here I'm going to use another approach, and this approach relies on two NuGet packages. The first one is called MediatR. The second one has a bit of a longer name, MediatR extensions Microsoft dependency injection. I copied in here. Now you may ask yourself, like, what is a mediator? A mediator is an object that is orchestrating how two different objects communicate with each other. Now the approach that I'm going to show you here may be a bit bloated, but I think for a bit bigger applications it's maybe a try. So I'm going to add a features folder, and then I'm going to add product to basket feature. So we are in the domain of e-commerce. Now here I'm going to add a class. Call it add to basket handler. Now this handler is our mediator. Import a namespace. Now I've told you a mediator is orchestrating how different objects behave with each other. So here I'm going to define these objects. The first one is called add to basket request. We have two properties. First one is the name of the product we want to add, and the second one is the price. Type decimal, product price. And then the second object will be the add to basket response. So the mediator is taking the request and transforming it to the response. Here again we have two properties. First one is of type Boolean, second one is string. Boolean will just indicate if it's been a success or not. Now here we have to implement iRequest, and we can either leave it as such or we can pass in a type. If we pass in a type, then mediator knows that if whenever we send a request with this argument, then we are going to expect an add to basket response. So here I'm going to implement iRequest handler. First the add to basket request, add to basket response. Now it's different overloads, and here we see that the generic type constraints that the first type here has to implement iRequest with the second type. So here we are going to implement the interface. It's just a handle method, mark it as async. So in here we are doing the transformation from the add to basket request to the add to basket response. Here we are making a little check. Now, because I don't have a data store, I just build one, a little simulation one. I mark it as static so that we have it, because the add to basket handler is of type transient. So whenever we are sending a new add to basket request, here we are creating a new add to basket handler so that we can store it over different, so that we can store it and just mark it as static. But please don't forget, here we are using a Blazor WebAssembly application. If you use static on the server, it has a different meaning. Then it is the same for all the users, but here it's just the same for one user. So here we are quickly checking if the sum of all the products that we have already in the collection plus the price of the to be added one is smaller than $150, then you're actually adding it. Add to basket requests, add request. Now here update, of course, in a real application you would need to check if it actually has subscribers, so otherwise you will get an exception. Now here in this case, we just say success equals true, and we don't need a message. But if the cart has too many expensive items, we're just saying budget was exceeded. So that's that for our handler. Now here we are also going to create our actual razor component. I just call it basket. Now here I copy in a Bootstrap snippet, which is going to be a drop-down. And then I'm going to implement iDisposable. And iDisposable, of course, we have to define a public void dispose method. Protect the override void on initialized. Now here we are going to subscribe to the static action, because we want to update the component, state has changed. And then here in dispose, you're just going to unsubscribe. Otherwise, there are memory leaks. If you're a regular on this channel, you will realize that it's the first time I'm doing it in this way. In the last tutorials, I'm overskipped the unsubscribing thing, but just to be 100% clear. Now, in here, we have to display the actual products. So we are just going to enumerate over all the add to basket handler, add to basket requests, and then here I'm going to create, what is it called? Item.product name, and then product price. And then here we also have to set a class to drop down item. And I'm not sure if it's 100% needed to give here a link, but I'm just giving it a dummy link. So you see I'm not too familiar with Bootstrap, but it should be enough for this application. Now we go to main layout to actually use our component here, and we are going to do it here. Add the basket. Just type it out. Of course, you can also do it in the import so that it's not too long. Now, just that I don't forget, in the index, we also need to reference the needed JavaScript for the dropdown to work. So I will link this too, so that it's just the bootstrapped JavaScript. So now, from somewhere, we have to actually use the mediator to send these requests, and this is happening from the fetch data component. So here I have to import the namespace too, and then I have to inject the mediator. So this is the object that we can actually send our requests. Now I'm going to quickly expand it here with by, and then here I'm going to create a button. Give it a bit of green styling. So now, whenever we click this button, we want the asynchronous method on the mediator, which is called send, to be invoked, but we also want to somehow read result. So here I'm going to create a new field with the type add to basket response. So now you see we have to import the whole namespace so that it knows about the type. Features add to, so yeah. Okay, so the response will be equal await MediatR send. Now here we are creating our new add to basket request. And then over the object initializer, I hope you can see it. We are setting the product name equal to forecast.summary and the product price equal to forecast dot, let's just say, temperature in Fahrenheit. So now the last thing I need to do here is just quickly, here I'm putting the code where I'm actually checking if you have a valid response using the Elvis operator, and then if the success is false, we are rendering a div, style with the alert of warning, and then again use the Elvis operator, response, Elvis operator, message. Now here I also give it a little description, add product, and then, so I don't forget, I think I forgot it in the first one here. Here we have to actually register MediatR, so builder, services, add MediatR, and then here pass in the assembly where our MediatR is living. So we get a type of program, and then we are just retrieving its assembly. So now I think everything works, so let's have a look. So as I've said in the introduction, maybe the whole approach is a bit bloated, but I think for non-trivial application, such an ordering with a features folders comes in quite handy. Okay, MediatR. Let's just use the interface instead. Okay, now it works. Here I can add the products. Okay, so now I can't add a new product because also I couldn't add this product because with adding this product, the whole thing would have been exceeded. As I've said in the beginning, maybe the whole approach seems a bit bloated. For me, it works quite well because if you have a bigger solution, you can just go into features and then everything here is in the same directory. The only thing that is not in here is the part right here where we are actually sending the add to basket request. But besides that, everything resides here in this namespace, the handler, our component, and also the request and response. Thank you very much for your attention.